What's going on? It's Justeeni here. Yes, you read the title correctly. This is the final Guess the Elo because I really don't know what to do with this series anymore. The update, the Funny Balance patch came around pretty recently, and I really want to cover Guess the Elo with that version, but if you guys didn't know already, I have almost 400 submissions, and it's getting a little hard to keep up with these. You can see this one's actually in version 108 quite a bit before. And yeah, I'm going to kind of talk a little bit before we get to this final game, why I'm going to be kind of postponing the Guess the Elo for now. It might come back, but for now I have a few issues with it. First off, I just get way too many submissions. It's so hard to get through all of them because you guys just really want your Elo to be guessed. The other thing is, I don't have any way of stopping people from just submitting multiple games, and that's been kind of annoying to like try to sort through the games and see like, oh, do I recognize this person? With this person, I don't think they've submitted before. I could be wrong though, because I've had to go through so many of these. And then the last thing is, because I can't look at these games before, you know, to keep things authentic, I can't check their ELO or look at the game in advance. I don't know what I'm actually getting. Is the game going to be exciting? Is it not? I have no way to check. And, you know, it's kind of annoying to, like... I can't really cherry pick to find good games unless I just have several recording sessions and then just pick the best, but that's just not practical, so... Yeah, I found Guess the Elo is very hit or miss. Usually, performance-wise, it doesn't tend to do well, and sometimes it's just not very fun to do because sometimes the game's just not that exciting, which, you know, it happens. Not every game's a banger. But, you know, I can't really do much to influence that, at least with how things are going, but I'm hoping to find some solutions to those problems, and then maybe I can bring Guess the Elo back, but for the time being, it's just a bit of a headache dealing with all those things, so I think for now, there's a lot of things I'd rather be doing, especially with the update coming. There's all sorts of video ideas, like tons of things that I want to be doing. There's also World Championship qualifiers that I want to be up to, and I want to cover a lot of that. So, Guess the Elo, as of now, will be discontinued, so you won't be able to send any games. I'm sorry. I have to be the bearer of bad news here. But we can at least enjoy this one final game. So this one's a very short game actually, but let's get right into things. So starting off, I like this opening, just 2 riders, and right away we find Lingueeni. Yeah, you can tell this version 108 because that's spacing between the capitals, and this is pretty bad actually for Omaji. Like, this exploration kind of makes sense, you know. I wouldn't have expected the capital to be right there, but it's worth looking around here. Of course, they decide to just jump right in. This is kind of crazy because they might not have had a warrior or anything to reach, and if your rider's just here, Polytopia can just go in the fog and just smack it. Of course, never punished. They have the warrior on the capital. I don't know why they trained this here, actually. Like, maybe they were playing around, like, some way of getting the cap siege. I don't know. But this is what they did. I don't like this move a whole lot. Yes, we meet Illyrian, but again, we could have lost this rider, and even though we get 3 stars, we level up a turn sooner. I don't think it's actually worth it. So now we get Organization Pre-Cap. Now, I would probably train a rider. Upgrading for an Explorer is another option, or a Workshop here. You know, I guess we could get away with Workshop maybe, and then next turn we do, we get some riders and warriors going. But let's see. So we get the Explorer. Again, if we're going to pick between Workshop and Explorer here, always do the Workshop because this vision won't benefit you until next turn. Get the Explorer at the beginning of turn 3 if you really want that Explorer instead of the end of turn 2. We do get the Lighthouse, and we can get this Lighthouse, so maybe it's not all bad, but I would still prefer the Workshop here. Now, are we going to get Workshop? Explorer is another consideration. I like Workshop here. It's nice and safe. Ruin here is fine. We're getting this village anyway, but also we could get the village for the same reason. Pop Ruin. All right. Now we want to... Okay. Maybe we don't want to do that. A little premature on the roads. Get some riders and just try to fight for this middle because this is a very high city game. You can see this density is like near perfect. It's likely going to be an 8 city game, which is like almost unheard of for Tiny Dry, but it can happen every now and then. Okay, so we're going to connect. We could have done this with just one road. If I'm not... Actually, no. Could we have done this with just one road? Because it wants to go like this. No, we have to use... Yeah, we have to use 2 roads like that. So I guess that was the only way to get that. So yeah, this play is kind of mandatory. We don't train a warrior. I guess it's fine. There's still no worry about any of that. Okay, we gotta chill out with the roads. Okay. We gotta calm down just a little. Upgrade the city, get some riders, get a solid structure for your army before you start going all crazy with the roads, because if you lack units, you're just not going to be able to defend. In fact, right now they can just go here, and if I'm not mistaken, this does siege. Yes, and you will be overloaded with no way to stop them from taking the middle. And right on cue. Somehow Lyrian has not made it to that side of the map. That's kind of unexpected, but they are getting the middle. We're going to see how this goes. We can't get a giant. Okay. Lighthouse. Oh my goodness. Come on. Okay. So we get the giant in the Park of Fortune. Okay. Now this looks pretty good. Illyrian is archery, but wait. Wait. What is Illyrian doing? Level 1 city, no sanctuary, and a really low level sank. And we are just, they're just using those Polytopia, right? We got a pop rune, so now we can just Park of Fortune here because we didn't use it last turn. Maybe they're playing around that, who knows? We also just get Eye of God. You didn't need roads to do that. You can just use this rider, bounce like this. You don't kill the archer or damage it at all, but that's fine. You still get the Eye of God, which is the most important thing, and then you can, you know, train some units. I guess you can still train units anyway, but I guess we're not going to. Okay. And, okay, they just resign here, that makes sense. Very, very short game to end things. I know, so what is their ELO? I can't possibly screw this up on the last one, but this was actually really difficult, because they didn't train a lot of units. There were some moments that were a bit questionable, but they did prioritize getting, like, Eye of God and knowing which cities to get explorers and which cities to not get explorers on. They got their giant. They had a pretty good monument use. They also just kind of forgot to place their Eye of God. I think if they made more units, I would have been a bit more impressed. And there are some things that definitely tell me this is not high elo, but like, what range is this even at? I'm gonna say, I always like to say like 1300. That seems to be my default, and don't think that's changing here. So, final guess for the last ever guess the. I mean, I might bring back guess the elo at some point, but for dramatic effect, the final guess the elo. 13. I don't know if I could say 1300. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna say 1260. 1260. Feeling a little low today. Lowballing it a little maybe. 1260. Final answer. Oh my goodness, I was really close. I almost guessed the Illyrian elo. It did not seem like a 1260, but okay. It's not about the Illyrian, it's about the emoji. Okay. That's the entire guess the elo. That's it. It's never happened. No, it's again. If I can figure out again, if you guys want to give me some suggestions, how the heck can I like solve the current problems with guess the elo again? I would love to have games be more interesting. You know, maybe some way of selecting the games. But I can't select the games because I'm supposed to be the one reacting to them. And, maybe not having upwards of 400 submissions would be a little less overwhelming to deal with. Because it's not just like, oh, like I've had 400 total submissions. No, every time I go through a submission, I delete it. So it's 400. It's about 400 submissions plus people that don't submit through the Google form. I get a lot of those, which, by the way, I don't accept those submissions. So yeah, there's that. Then there's also replay links that have expired in the form, so I'm not able to make videos. There's times when I've forgotten to record. That's happened a non-zero amount of times. I've probably gotten, I wouldn't be surprised if it's close to 500 total. So I just can't do that. That's not feasible. If I go through 2 of these a video and I do Guess the Yellow every day, it would take me almost a year just to get through all the Guess the Yellow. It's just not feasible. And I want to get some, recent versions, not some version 108 stuff, because this is the content you guys deserve. You guys deserve to see some really cool games, but currently I guess the Yellow can't quite do that at the moment until I figure things out. But if you guys have any suggestions on how I can possibly solve these issues, I would love to hear them, because I have been, for I'd say a good couple months, been trying to figure out what do I do with Guess the Yellow. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. I know this was a bit of a shorter video and maybe a bit more on the boring side, but I feel like this was necessary to make. Like and subscribe, and have a good one.